Welcome back to the channel for this week's episode where we visit Japan's oldest candy shop located on the grounds of Kishimojin Temple. And before heading to the temple, we gorge ourselves on massive gyoza and close out a great day with an amazing meal at a teeming izakaya. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a future episode. And help us grow the channel by giving this video a thumbs up down below. Let's go! How did you find this place?
I wanted dumplings, so I searched the internet, and this is one of the top ones. I think it is the very top one that popped up on my screen, and it sold me because somebody described their dumplings as ginormous.
This place is called Kailaku, and this was a short walk from our place, about 8 minutes, a couple minutes from the train station. And they do specialize in dumplings, and it looks like they're ready for a crowd out front. They have like a line sort of set up, really tight quarters for a line, but they must get a lot of people through here because they're ready for it. We've put our orders in. We both have gotten dumplings, of course, but you can get set combos here, so you can get dumplings with ramen or dumplings with rice, and that's basically what we did. She got ramen and I have gotten rice, so we're anxiously waiting for our lunch to show up, and when it does, we're going to share it with you. You have several choices for sauces here. You have a mustard, red vinegar, soy sauce, and white vinegar. And you would normally mix up whatever you want in a little dish, and you'll dip your gyoza in that. If you want a bit of spice, there's some white pepper here. And if you want something spicier, there's some red chili paste here that you can mix in with your soy sauce and vinegar. Wow, these dumplings are incredible. They're huge. Look at the size of this thing compared to my face. They're really big, and they're perfectly fried on one side. Like the traditional way to do a gyoza is to steam them and then fry them so that one side's really crispy and the other side is soft. I feel like it has a really good ratio of meat to cabbage to green onion. You get like a really rich, meaty flavor, and then it's cut nicely here and there with a bit of the green onion. It's a really amazing gyoza. Check this place out. The link's down in the description below. I haven't even touched the fried rice yet. I'm just chowing down on these gyoza. And then the combination of all of this dipped in the soy sauce and vinegar is just, it's kind of refreshing. And they're juicy. They're not overly juicy where the juice kind of squirts out everywhere when you bite into it. It just kind of juices a little bit as you're like eating it. Like the meat's really nice and juicy, but it's retaining that juice really, really well. Good find, Nicole. This place is amazing. I'm down to 2 gyoza, and it's time to add a little bit of spice to this party. So this red vinegar is actually not red vinegar. This is spicy oil. Luckily, we realized that before we started eating, because we both dunked a huge amount into our bowls. And then once I realized, I got a new bowl, a new little dish. But I'm gonna put a little bit of this into my sauce now. This little puddle here is the oil. I'm gonna take one of my gyozas, which already has a bite out of it, and get in there and soak up some of this into the gyoza wrapper. All right, let's try this spicy gyoza. Yeah, that's not super spicy. We probably would not have died. If this was like a Szechuan restaurant and I did that, I would have melted. But this just gives it a little bit of heat at the end, like a finishing heat. I'm really loving this place. These gyozas are incredible. Ooh, that one was a little bit spicier. But still incredibly good. The spice accentuates the meat, like the fattiness from the meat. It's excellent. Wow. Let's check in with Nicole and see how her miso ramen is.
I think I left my noodles too long, so it got a little bit soggy. They do have a good chew. The flavor's nice, but I'm not even going to lie or pretend. This is such a secondary part of the meal. Those gyozas, they were the star of the show. Oh my god, they were so good. The wrapping was just the perfect ratio to the meat. I could have just eaten those giant pillows for like ages. Actually, they were so generous. They gave you 5 humongous, ginormous dumplings, and I think I would have been full alone just for the dumplings. So if you come to the shop and you're not super hungry, I think my tip would be just to gorge on dumplings and dumplings alone.
When you suggested that dumpling place earlier, I was a little bit skeptical, but that's probably because I was starving after the gym. But that was bang on.
My god, it was bang on. It was such a cute little cozy place. Not only was the food good, but it was really cute and cozy. And the service was so nice. I liked the people so much.
Yeah, they were all very friendly, very courteous, and willing to chat. A few of them spoke English quite well, so it was nice to chat with them a little bit.
And you could tell they really liked their food because they would tell us how they like their sauces to go with the dumplings.
They kept recommending how to eat it.
Yeah, they were really sweet, so I enjoyed that place a lot.
This place has been here since 1954, and it's a one-off location. It's not a chain, so this is just an independent little shop pumping out amazing dumplings. So definitely check it out if you're in this area. It's literally just down an alleyway from Ikebukuro Station, so very convenient. Another amazing meal, another need for a sweet drink. So I've just dashed into the Family Mart here. There's like competing Family Marts. There's one on opposite corners, which is incredible. They're just everywhere, these kombinis. But I went with another Boss. This is one of his craft Boss coffees. It's a latte. Hits the spot. Welcome to Kishimojin Temple. A short walk from Ikebukuro Station is this quiet oasis surrounded by the bustling city. Even with it being so close to a major station, it's still relatively unvisited by tourists, which is surprising because the grounds are beautiful and have a lot of interesting sights to see, including Japan's oldest candy shop and a little shop selling special dango sets on the weekends. Kishimojin Temple is dedicated to the Buddhist goddess of little children, the namesake of the temple. Because of this, the temple is a popular spot to come pray for fertility and healthy childbearing. We are visiting at the tail end of a festival that has just ended, and workers are busy taking down temporary tents that were set up throughout the grounds. Not only is there a Buddhist temple on the grounds, you'll also find an Inari shrine, the Takeyoshi Inari Shrine, which explains the path through the beautiful Vermilion Torii. Let's take a quick look around.
Oh my goodness. I'm in love with the candy shop. And that's very rare because I don't have a sweet tooth.
Well, it's no wonder you're in love with this candy shop. It's a cute little candy shop that's been around forever and was the model of the candy shop in Only Yesterday for Studio Ghibli.
Oh, and we love Ghibli.
We do. Yeah, this place has been here since 1781.
Wow.
It's said to be Japan's oldest structure because apparently the storefront has not changed since those days. Although there are some modern looking embellishments, but it seems to have just been in this sort of hut style ever since.
I think they've done a really good job branding it without knowing that they branded it. They even sell postcards based on, I guess the postcards are also based on the Ghibli movies, and every detail in the postcard matches the actual storefront, like from the colors of the candies to where the candies in the containers, everything matches to the chi.
I have a correction for you.
Oh.
The postcard's not based on Ghibli.
The postcard's not based on the Ghibli?
No, it's actually just based at the storefront, which is why the attention to detail is so high. But they did show us a picture of the shop from the movie, and it looks very similar. It looks like they made it a little bit bigger.
Yes, they did.
But the postcard is bang on. Whoever was the artist of that postcard did an amazing job.
Yeah, I thought the postcard artist was inspired by the artwork.
Maybe.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, it had a very similar style in that sense, but the postcard is exactly based on the shop here.
Identical.
Yeah, it's really neat. I feel like it's pretty unusual to find a shop like this on a temple ground. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, it's definitely unusual because the shop is clearly more for locals. It's not a tourist shop like in Honnōji Temple where it's like souvenir shop and the whole complex is kind of very tourist oriented. This is a local temple with a local shop for the locals.
Yeah, and I guess since it dates back for so long, like maybe the grounds of the temple expanded around it.
Yeah,
like maybe the temple was just the main hall of the temple back in those days, and then the candy shop kind of set up shop just outside.
Yes.
And then the temple just kept growing and growing, and the shop remained. I don't know, but it's pretty cool.
Either way, the shop is definitely a highlight to this visit.
I'm going to try and pronounce the name of this shop.
Go for it.
It's Kamikawa Guchiya. Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, pretty good. All right, let's continue exploring the temple grounds. There's a lot more to see here. Even though this place is a really short walk from home and we could have popped over here at any time during the week, we wanted to come here on a Sunday because they do something special. They have a little hut that sells dango, and that's what we are sitting in right now. And I have my dango set in front of me. It has two different types of dango. This one here, which is osen dango, which is flavored with soya sauce. So it's a white mochi ball that they've skewered, or there's a bunch of mochi balls here that they've skewered, and then they brush on a soy sauce and then grill it. As you can see, the dango ball is very sticky. Usually the mochi is kind of flavorless. It doesn't have a lot of its own flavor, so it's really there as just a chewy vessel for whatever flavor you're going to add onto it. And the soy sauce flavor they've put on this one is very mild. You just kind of get a bit of a aftertaste from the soy sauce, as opposed to it kind of hitting you in the face as soon as you bite into it. And the set came with a second dango. I've already had one of both. I couldn't help myself, but this one here is a red bean paste dango. And I like this one because the dango inside is a smaller ball and it's got a very thick paste on it, and I think that pairs really well. You get the sort of creaminess of the red bean paste with the really chewiness of the small mochi ball inside. Yeah, that's my favorite by far. I like the sweet one better. And you also get a cup of green tea, which is the perfect thing to have with mochi, I find. Like a nice warm tea kind of helps soften it up even more. So we're gonna finish I'm gonna finish our dango because Nicole's not a fan of mochi. And then we're gonna go continue exploring the temple grounds.
This magnificent ginkgo tree behind me is Japan's second largest ginkgo tree. It has a circumference of 6 meters for the trunk, and the top part, all the leaves make up 10 meters in diameter, and is actually designated a national monument by the Japanese government.
It's also 32 meters high.
Whoa, it's beautiful to look at. We need a picnic. Someone, quick, grab me a picnic basket. That was a really enjoyable visit. I really like chilling at the tea shop and then checking out the sweet shop and then going into the torii gates.
Yeah, it was really a lot to see here at this temple. The grounds are pretty vast considering we're in the city. And that's what I love about it, because it's kind of like a little oasis in the city. You can sort of hear traffic in the distance. We're kind of off the main road, but you can still kind of hear it, and you're reminded that you're in the city because all around us is a residential area and like tall buildings are sort of peeking through the trees. But I just love that it's so serene despite all of that, and that you can come here and just sort of reflect and take a breath and recharge.
Yeah, and it's definitely not touristy here. So if you've done all the big touristy temples and shrines in Tokyo and you want to get something a little bit more authentic, this is a place to come. It's very close to the train station, and it's very close to all the other attractions in Ikebukuro.
Yeah. I mean, your point there is very valid, because we're the only foreigners I've seen here this whole time, and there's lots of locals just coming and going, like paying their respects, and it does feel like it's the local temple where people do come and worship, so that's really neat. So I think we're done here though. It's time to go home and regroup, figure out what we're going to do for dinner, have a little bit of a rest, and we'll catch you later. Nicole had us walk a different direction than we came into the temple today, and that is always something that I'm like, no, let's go the same way, and you're like, no, let's go this way, and then usually it pans out. So you made us stumble upon Honnōji Temple. Let's go in there and take a quick look before we head home. We're back home now, and Nicole's gotten into bed for her regular afternoon nap, and I'm gonna do a bit of work. I'm actually gonna practice some Japanese. I've been slowly trying to learn Japanese, and it has definitely been going very slowly. But I'm enjoying the balcony. So this is the first time it's felt good to sit out on the balcony. It's not raining, it's not cold. It's kind of just the perfect weather. And you can probably hear that noise in the background. That is the trains. Pretty neat view from the balcony here. A bit noisy, but I don't mind that so much. And I'm going to try this chocolate bar that I got at the temple earlier with my coffee here. I'm gonna bust into this. and see what it is all about. From the picture, it kind of just looks like a puff rice kind of crispy bar with chocolate on top. Let's see if I'm right. It's very light. There's like nothing to it. There we go. So you can see it kind of does look like puff rice or crispy rice or whatever they call that stuff. Just covered in some chocolate. Yep. Well, no, actually. It's wafer. It's like the wafer of like a wafer cookie, where you'd have two wafers with cream in between or chocolate in between, except it's reversed. The wafer is in the middle and the chocolate's on the outside. Now, it's a pretty light snack and goes well with a coffee. So I'm gonna sit here, enjoy this, my coffee, do some Japanese practicing here, listen to the trains going by constantly, and enjoy being out on the patio and getting some fresh air.
The very first time we walked past it. It's always super lively, it's always full of people, and we just wanted to come in and see what all the hoopla was about.
So as Nicole mentioned, we saw this restaurant when we walked through the Airbnb on our very first day. It's basically just down the street, and we've been wanting to come here ever since. So we finally popped in here and ordered a bunch of dishes. It's an izakaya, so it's a lot of like small dishes that you order and share. And our first dish has come, and it is quail eggs. That's rather surprising. The outside's quite firm, and the inside is really creamy. And it has a good saltiness, but it also kind of has a smoky flavor to it somehow. They're really delicious. Yeah, it's really good. And they're just little ones, just little eggs, little quail eggs. They came in a bowl of like 6, I think. Let me see if I can bite one in half. Yeah, you can kind of see the marinade has penetrated into the outer layer a little bit. And the yolk is really, it's like fully cooked. I was surprised because it's really creamy. Our next dish came and it is also on point. It's really good. It's roast pork. It's kind of like the roast pork you'd get on ramen, but on steroids. Look at these. I obviously took a bite out of mine already. It's got a good layer of fat on top, which is really juicy. And the meat's really tender. I got an outside piece, which is nice and crispy on the one side and soft and juicy on the other side. This is really good. We will check in with the next dish comes.
It seems like one of the specialties this restaurant has to offer is horse meat. There was literally a whole page dedicated to different options of horse meat you can get, horse meat cuts you can get. I went for the safe option. At one point I was contemplating, should I get horse neck, horse cheek, and other various parts, but I went for the standard plate. The first thing that hits me is the spectacular sauce that came with it. I thought it was just regular soy sauce, but it's actually a nice, sweet, tangy, citrusy sauce and they give you fresh ground ginger to put in. So between the sauce and the really tender, fresh horse meat, it's a really good combination. And if you're gonna ask me what raw horse meat tastes like, it doesn't have a very strong flavor. I would probably describe it as like very similar to beef tartare. It just has a really nice mouthfeel, very velvety, but nothing strong or scary. It's actually the sauce that's carrying the whole dish.
Nicole's been oohing and awing over this horse meat, and I usually avoid it, but she's really convinced me to give it a try. So I'm going to try this horse meat. It's raw. If she didn't mention that, it's completely raw. It's not even seared. It's not carpaccio. It's just completely raw. So I'm gonna dip it into this sauce that she's been loving. Here goes nothing. It is surprisingly soft. I was not expecting it to be so soft and smooth. There's no gristle. There's nothing chewy in it at all. It just completely falls apart as you're eating it. That is really good. I'm surprised. I might have to have a few more pieces. Yeah, it's like super, like ridiculously soft. I can't. That's the only way I can describe it, is just soft. Like, what's another food that's similar? It's like as soft as sponge cake, like really moist, soft sponge cake. It just, like I said, just falls apart. It's really good. Poor Nicole.
What the heck? This is like a very overweight chicken wing. Maybe it's stuffed. When I ordered the wing, I didn't realize it was stuffed. So what they have inside, I guess, is ground chicken, chives. I think there might be a bit of celery, and it's seasoned very lightly. I think it was just like pepper, and then kind of hashed up and jammed back into the wing. What an amazing combination. The wing is fried perfectly. The skin is so crispy. There's still a bit of chicken wing meat left, and that's still silky. And then combined with the stuffing, it's a terrific combination. I would never have thought to do this on my own, but I'm glad they did.
I'm not usually a huge chicken wing kind of person, but this one is spectacular. We should have had this on Thanksgiving, chicken with stuffing. What's kind of crazy about this is that there's no bone in here. There's bone in like this piece, but the meaty part where we're eating, they've deboned it and just kind of held it together, I guess, with the stuffing. Kind of gave it enough firmness. This place has been on point. Wow, really good. We have another chicken dish that came, and it is like kind of like a weird, not weird, but a different chicken strip than what you would expect at home. At home we would have chicken strips that are breaded and you're dipping them in like ranch sauce. This is just straight on chicken in strip form, really well deep fried, so the outside's really crispy and the meat inside is really juicy. I don't think I've ever had chicken strips quite like this. I think we're gonna have to make a round 2 order. I'm finishing off dinner with dessert, which is a bit unusual. We don't tend to do that. Either the restaurants don't have dessert or we're just so full we just don't want it. But this one looked really interesting and I had to try it. It's a green tea pudding and it's multi-layered, which is kind of interesting. The bottom is a green tea jelly, and the top is a green tea pudding, which is kind of moussey, like in consistency. When you eat the two together, it gives you a really nice contrast between the thick jelly and the really creamy top layer. But I think I like the top layer better. The bottom layer is not as flavorful as the pudding part. That's a really refreshing way to end the meal. So dinner, another success.
That was a big success, man. Really, really big success.
Yeah.
I was a bit worried because when we saw the menu, it was very limited. And I don't think anything super jumped out at us when we ordered. And then when the quail eggs came, they looked a bit underwhelming. And then we bit into it.
Yeah.
And everything changed.
Yeah. I was feeling very underwhelmed. I think more than you. I was really having a hard time picking something to eat on there. It wasn't exactly what I was feeling like.
No.
We were going to go to a yakitori place, which is actually right behind us at the base of our street, but it was closed today.
On a Sunday night.
Yeah, after I went and researched yakitoris and all the names and everything, I looked up I wonder if it's open, and it was not open.
I think that was the problem. We had yakitori on the brain.
Yeah.
So when we saw a menu that had completely different items, it took a minute to adjust. But again, after the first bite, that egg that just looked so underwhelming was spectacular in the mouth.
Yeah, the texture, I guess because they probably cooked the egg and then they marinate it. They soak it in the marinade for I don't know how many days. The marinade sort of hardened the exterior.
Yeah.
That's what I found really shocking, because the exterior was a bit hard and the interior was super soft and creamy. Yeah, they were amazing. You're right, after a bite of those eggs, I knew we had made the right decision.
Yeah, and I'm just amazed how much food they can pump out in that tiny, tiny kitchen.
Yeah.
Like, I think our home kitchen's the same size.
Yeah, it's amazing. So we are going to McDonald's. You've started the trend of wanting to go to McDonald's, so we need something sweet. That little pudding I had for dessert didn't quite fit the bill, so we're gonna go to McDonald's, and you really want a sundae, and I wasn't hard to convince.
You were enjoying your authentic Japanese dessert, and I'm like, I want the golden arches. I'm a peasant sometimes, so what can I say?
Yeah. All right, let's go there and get back. I want to get to bed early tonight for once, hopefully. Thank you for joining us for a visit to Kishimojin Temple and Japan's oldest candy shop. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. And please let YouTube know you enjoyed the video by giving it a thumbs up down below. We'll see you next week.